Hey, how's it going? So we're back here at the warehouse again today because, well, this is kind of the only place I can film stuff right now. Apparently it's raining a whole lot, or there's water falling from the sky and everything's like flooding or something. So anyways, here we are. I figure it's time for a little bit more experimentation on alternative controls for permobil wheelchairs, or really anything R-Net powered, but we're going to be working with a permobil today. So I recently came into possession of an ASL head array, this guy right here. This is a fairly new one. I don't know if it's one that's set up for proportional control or not. It just has the ASL logo there. Looks like we've got a part number on the connection block there. So I'm gonna have to look this up and see. If it is proportional, that would be really cool. I've been curious to see how these systems work. And this setup is controlled by an Omni 2. This is the newer version of the R-Net alternative controls. As you can see, the screen is now separate, and it's a very thin, thin display basically. And it connects to this box here, which has all of the standard Omni connections on it, including a sip and puff. Just for reference, this is an Omni 1. Everything used to be baked into a single unit. The charging port, the IR blaster, the sip and puff connections, and charging port. Did I say charging port? Yeah, it's right there. So everything was integrated into this giant box, which, I don't know, maybe was a little more cumbersome to mount, but the most annoying thing is having to run all of the wires all the way to this thing. It does have an R-Net connector on it, but the Omni 2 system is a little bit more optimized and streamlined, so it should be interesting to play around with. By the way, the previous video that I did on head arrays was this Invacare TDX SP over here. The white wall is kind of hard to make things visible, but that's an older style ASL. It is not proportional, so you just on off and you set your acceleration with the programming. And this one has Invacare's version of what I call an Omni. It's called something else, but it's got the little screen on there. So in my quest to learn as much as possible about different wheelchair control systems and everything, we're gonna play around with this today. Seems like an intriguing device. And also, I want to learn how to program these things and set them up on a chair. That's the one thing I don't know. Now, I could cheat. I did take the software and all the configurations off of this chair before I uninstalled it. But I'm gonna see if we can hook it up just on my own with what I've learned so far. And the chair we're gonna be using for that is this M300 right here. I'm not sure what year range this one is. I think it's a fairly recent one because it has the smaller caster wheels on the back, and it's also got the PJSM joystick, and originally it had a slimline swing away or retractable joystick mount on it. Let's see here. There we go, push CD. I swapped out the armrests on this to use on another project. But anyways, this is gonna be the chair we're going to attempt to put this on. This chair already has an attendant controller on the back. Oh, and it looks like that is attempting to come out, so I should probably fix that. But yeah, this one's got an attendant control on the back, so it can be controlled back here, no problem. And we've got the PJSM joystick with the display. So everything about this setup should be compatible with the Omni 2. So I think to start off, we're gonna try and get this mounted on the chair and see if we can get some of the wiring run and whatnot. This might take a little bit of time. So the head array has one of these like square tube style headrest mounts or headrest bars or whatever. And this is the back that was on the chair that was set up with all that. And as you can see, it's sort of the rectangular or square clamping. So we're gonna pull this off of here and get it mounted to the back of that chair. By the way, in case you're wondering, all of this stuff, this ride custom backrest and the head array and everything was on a chair that was donated to someone, and they needed to set it up with standard controls, and we did a bunch of parts trading. I pulled off these parts, I got them some new stock stuff to put on the chair and got them all set up. So yeah. So basically we're taking a chair that was set up for someone else that doesn't need it anymore and got it configured for someone who can use it for years to come. But for now, I want to check this out. If this is proportional, I'm really curious. I suppose I should elaborate on what I mean by proportional versus not. The way head arrays are set up is heavy. Oop, throwing things on the floor. Why is there leaf blowers outside? It's like, it's rained 2 inches in the last 24 hours. Why are they Anyways, I'm confused. But anyways, what I'm talking about here with proportional control is when your head is in here, you basically move your head towards the back and there's a sensor here that picks that up. Traditionally with the older systems, the way they work is this was basically an on-off switch. So it was a little bit difficult to control your speed. Now there's a chin switch or a head switch here that you can use to access different functions with the chair. And it looks like some of the plastic might have broken on this. I'll have to see what's going on there. But the only way you could control your speed was having different profiles. So head goes back, there's a predetermined acceleration that gets you up to full speed. But what you couldn't do is adjust how fast you want to go simply by using the position of your head. Now the proportional ones change this. Depending on how close your head gets to this, it changes your speed. So it makes everything a lot more usable for the user of the chair, and they can actually control how fast they're going. Because as odd as it sounds, being able to control your speed with a head array is not something that was really an option for a number of years. Now, once again, I don't know if this head array is proportional or not. We'll find out. But regardless, I want to see how the new controls and everything work. So this is a Ride custom back, and it has sort of a rail you can see here on the back of it. I do not know if this rail is the same spacing as a permobil one, but we're about to find out. I don't have deep wall sockets this small, so it's a little bit obnoxious. Oh, and it looks like they just used standard bolts. Having an attendant control on this thing makes everything super handy. Let's see if our rail spacing lines up here. Ooh, it appears that it does. We can just slide these on here. And I'm just using 2 out of the 4. This isn't like a permanent setup for anyone to use, so we'll just get it on here good enough to test everything out. Get it kind of centered here. Tighten this down. These things are a bit unruly when you're working on them and try to get them installed, since you can't just set them down and everything's kind of attached. So once we get it on here, there we go. Now it can sit there on its own and we can worry about getting the rest of this wiring sorted. Whoever had this thing set up kind of went a bit crazy with the wiring. You can see here how it's all coiled around and the inner conductors are pretty stressed. You can see there's ridges and stuff here. Yeah, you can see that wiring is not doing so hot. So next thing we need to do is mount the Omni control box here to the back of the chair. And this is set up with a permobil bracket, so it will basically go right here. Man, I'll try to adjust this in editing, but it's so hard to see all of this. But this can basically go right here and just kind of hang out on the back of the chair. I'm gonna need some more square nut hardware for this. Oh, we've got some more right here we can poach. We'll get a couple of screws here, put the square nuts on the back loosely, and we can hopefully slot this down in here like so. Ah, there we go, that looks pretty good. Let's put our super breakable panel back on here. Okay, this lighting is absolutely atrocious. I'm gonna move the camera and see if we can fix this. Okay, we've got the box mounted on the back of the chair here. I had to take it back off because I forgot we needed to connect this R-Net bus cable to the splitter there on the back side of the chair. Now we can plug in a few of these wires. So we can connect up our sort of a DB9 connector here to port 1. This is what goes to all of the sensors and the head array and also provides power to them. Then this here is what Permobil calls the e-stop switch, which kind of works like a function switch with the Omni. It allows you to select different profiles and scroll through different modes and other stuff like that. So that plugs in. And now we need to plug in the R-Net bus, but the power of the chair is on. Oh, wait a second. We have a circuit breaker right here. That'll work. Now it's off. Let's plug this in. There we go. And we'll come back around later and clean up all this wiring. I'm just trying to get everything mounted on here for right now. Next up, we need to install our display, which is this guy here. This allows us to turn on and off the chair and everything. I am going to leave the stock joystick installed on the chair while we're doing this, as well as the attendant control. I think all of these things can work together, we'll see. But now I'm gonna hop back in my chair and we're going to get this thing mounted on the left armrest of the chair, because this is the interface for the Omni and all the controls and all that, and yeah, something. Let's get this thing up here where we can actually see it. Need the Jeopardy theme music here. All right, and then we have this guy here, which has this sort of long mounting rod, and this slides over it and does things, but we need to get an attachment point for this rod right here. And I just so happen to have a selection of those. Oh, where did I put it? This is always a problem when you start cleaning stuff. Oh, here it is. We have a selection of mounting points here. That one's broken, so we won't use that. And we'll just verify this is the right one. Yep, seems to go in there. This thing attaches using this piece of metal and the screws here. So basically just slide this thing on the rail like so. Doesn't really matter where. Tighten this down. Yeah, if we were setting this up for someone to use, obviously configuring all this, so you'd want everything to be just right, and it would take an inordinate amount of time to get everything squared away. Now this has sort of a release mechanism, so we're gonna make it so it swings out like this. And we'll just kind of put it back here. And the neighbors are screaming behind the wall in some language that I don't know what it is. Then this weird little thing right here slides on. It's got sort of a loop that clamps onto this bar. Let's go like that. There we go. Kind of a weird position, but that's okay. Oh, of course this requires a socket. Do I have my sockets? Oh, here they are. Now these things are kind of weird because it clamps it down and adjusts everything all at the same time. And then you have this giant rod that's just sticking down. Then we can push this and it kind of swings out of the way. Alrighty. Now we can get our Omni display cable here. This one appears to be a little bit damaged. I do see some conductors, but I think it's not shorting out. So let's give it a try and see here. Man, I do have another one of these cables, so if this doesn't work, we can just swap it out. Then there's a port here on the back that says DISP, aka display. This. Oh, there we go. I heard the power click a couple of times. Let's hit the power button and see what happens. Ooh, it turned on. It says permobil, that joystick's on. We're doing another auto detect sequence. Is that even in frame? Yeah, it is. Now we're gonna have 3 different ways to control this chair. Wait, how many fingers was that? 3. Count them, 3. Ha ha ha. Unknown module language error, 7EOE. Ah, the old language error. So let's power cycle this. Turn it back on. Unknown module 4 joystick error 0808. Oh yeah, we got all kinds of stuff going on here. So we haven't really configured anything on this chair yet. It is not letting us drive, but that's fine. We haven't done anything with the software yet, so this is fully expected. Okay, that error is a mid-reference error, and I'm pretty sure that has to do with the head array. This has to be calibrated or done something with. Again, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just kind of hooking up stuff and poking around to see if we can do it. We'll just kind of carefully wrap this wire around some things here. This is how I learn, by the way, is just start screwing around with stuff and see what we can figure out. Now that everything's powered up, we do have a light here, and there looks like a power button. Wonder what that does. You know what? I'm gonna look up this number real quick and see what we're dealing with here, because Yeah, I don't even know. I'm gonna get the programmer hooked up real quick, and then we're gonna add a profile to this thing that's set up for the Omni. Okay, and you can see here, it says R-Net connected down in this corner. So let's read from the controller. And I don't think we'll need OEM access for this. Expand everything here. Okay, so we'll set this as profile 3. Then we need modes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8. Then Omni. And it was set to all previously, so we'll just leave that. And allow grab. Yes, that is good. And yeah, let's write it back to the chair and see what happens. It's that 50% thing. Oh, okay, it's working. Hey, it said okay. Perfect. Okay, let's go back to the chair. All right, has anything changed? So, appears like we don't have an error anymore. It's in rabbit mode because the seat lift is up. We're in profile 1, so that should be joystick movement. And there we go, chair moves with the joystick, no big deal. So let's switch to profile 3, which is our Omni. Now we're still getting the centering error. I need to look this thing up. I'm gonna find the manual or the configuration manual for it, and then figure out the setup process because, well, it needs to be calibrated or centered or whatever, so I'll be back. According to the documentation, we just need to use the calibration that's on onboard programming. So let's see if we can find that here. What? Why is there an error? By the way, I'm sure there's people out there screaming at their screen right now saying, no, you have to do this, you have to do that. I'm learning this. I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, well, we'll just stick with that. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm using little bits of knowledge that I've attained from here and there, and we're just playing around. I don't know if this is a proper configuration, having an attendant controller, a regular joystick, and an Omni, but we're finding out. This is just me screwing around. Okay, I just remembered we're still having that language error going on, so let's go ahead and fix that here. So we will read from the controller. There's a really strange way to fix this that seems to work. So after we're loaded in here, we're going to go to controller and then set controller personality. And, oh, it's set to Dutch. So what they told me to do was basically just select something else other than what it is. So it's Dutch, whatever right now. So we'll do ICS English and then set OK. So far, the error has gone away. See if this finishes here. Exciting stuff right here. Waiting for progress bars. Okay, the error still flashed up. It's almost done. All right, verifying update. Still blinking on the screen occasionally. Please turn the system off and on again.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Okay. Okay, both screens are alive and there's no language error. I'm going to stare at it for 20 seconds, though, just to make sure. Come on, flash an error. I dare you. Okay, I think we're good. Looks like everything's good. Let's try profile 3. Okay, now we're getting the centering error. So, let's see if we can go into onboard programming. Okay, we don't have an error anymore. I was assuming that was from the language thing or whatever. So, need to go to System. There we go. And then joystick calibration. Okay, so how does this work? Do I just like wave my hand on this thing? So waving my hand on the head array does seem to affect it a little bit. But yeah. But what we need to do, though, to get it calibrated is have this thing set up correctly with the R-Net joystick calibration. I did find some information about this thing. If you notice here, we get a light when I go, that's triggering forward, then left, then right. So all of our sensors are in fact working. I just don't know, setting the SID, how exactly that needs to work. So I'm going to continue exploring around and trying to figure things out, and I'll be back when I make some progress. After looking through some of the documentation for the Omni 2, I found out I have to go into the port that it's connected to in onboard programming and set it up correctly for that SID. I don't think this is a proportional setup. So with that in mind, it's already saying proportional and it's not happy. So we're going to set this to, let's try 3 switch, I guess. Yeah, let's try this and see what happens. Let's try our calibration again here. It does not like that. Let's do a power cycle. Okay, we got it working. Turns out the original settings were fine. I just didn't restart the chair. Then I went through and there's a configuration guide for all the different settings so the Omni can recognize the signals coming out of the head array or the ASL controller or whatever. But we're working now. As you can see, we're on profile 3. And if I put my hand up here, it clicks and starts moving. Then if we want to turn, we can turn. Hey, it's working. And then also, now that we've got it configured, our head switch up here, there we go, our chin switch. Pressing that goes into the menu, and then we can navigate through the menus by moving the head back and forth. So if we want to turn up our speed, we can go down here to speed adjust, and we can turn that up. Okay, that's up all the way. Press the switch to go back, and now we're at full speed, which this may not be a very good idea. Yep. Okay. Not sure if this thing has reverse or how it's set up exactly, but we got it working. Basically, it was a matter of getting the configuration settings right and restarting the chair. That's the important part. Everything is not saved to the system until you restart. So anyways, I'm going to clean up some of the wiring a little bit and then find a cushion for this thing, maybe sit in it and get it adjusted for my head and see how it works. Okay, so I think I've got this thing adjusted fairly close. Obviously there's room for improvement. It's a little hard for me to reach back there and do stuff. But last time I did a video with the Invacare head array, everyone that used head arrays was telling me, hey, you've got that halo set way too low. Or is that what this thing's called? The head switches or whatever? I had it set down kind of lower, like way down here because I wanted to be able to see over the top of them. But apparently it's supposed to be up here, maybe even a little higher than it is currently. The chin switch needs a little bit of work, but right now I can hit that and now we're in drive mode. So I can go back and to the left and I need to turn the speed down. So I can do that using the chin switch and then speed adjust and then left, then chin switch puts us back into drive mode. So let's turn left, we can go forward. Of course, I picked a chair that has problems steering. It's got issues with the O-rings. Oops, I was trying to use the joystick. It's got issues with the O-rings on the flutter clutches. So it doesn't like steering very well, but I'm holding the camera with my other hand, but seems to be working. Turns out this one is not proportional. At least I don't think it is. But seems to be working. Actually here, let's turn the speed up a little bit. Okay, there we go. Wait, is it proportional? Nope, it's not. It's just on or off. Okay, cool. Well, seems to work. I'm not sure how to set up reverse on this thing. I haven't looked into that yet. So right now I have to be careful here because I can't back up. So let's see if this will turn around, and nope. My feet are against boxes. So I've got this thing set up to allow grab, so we can put this in profile 1 and just use the joystick to turn around. Then I can hit the chin switch again to enable the head array, and away we go. Oh, nope, left. There. These stupid caster wheels are sticking. Come on, go straight. There we go. Yeah, the chair's like pulling to the right. Yay, it works. Okay, cool. managed to get the thing set up, and this is super handy now. I'm just using the regular joystick. This is super handy now because this is I think it's a newer one. Hang on, let me look this up here. So this is an ASL 104 Atom. Which head array is it? Is it the curved? No. Oh, I think it's a standard. Anyways, at least now I kind of have an idea of how to set this up. Obviously, it wasn't super smooth. The documentation kind of helped, but getting all the settings correct for, getting the user switch activated and the amount of timeouts and things like that. Well, here. Yes, I'm just filming a screen, but basically it says all the different menus to go through, like port 1, set the timeout, auto toggle, 0.5, actuator selection, actuator axis, like all that stuff. So getting all this stuff put in was key. And as it turns out, this little switch here is broken. There's a piece of plastic that broke off of it, I guess. I do have another one of these around somewhere, but yeah. So there you go. You can have a regular joystick, an Omni 2, and an attendant control, or an Omni 2 with a head array and an attendant control, and the chair will still function. I'm pretty sure this setup can allow you to have reverse or move backwards. I'm kind of been scanning through the documentation here. I know on the Invacare chair over there, there's an option with the chin switch as you're scrolling through to go into reverse, but I don't see that here in the settings just yet. But anyways, this is all stuff I like to learn and try to figure out as much as possible. Anything to do with head arrays and omnis and alternative controls, it doesn't seem like there's anybody out there that's willing to talk or explain, how to do stuff. I mean, anyone I personally know that's in the wheelchair industry, well, I won't say anyone, but most people, if I was to ask them about this and how to set up the SID and everything else, they'd just say, I don't know. So super happy to have this stuff and be able to play around with it. I'm obviously not making fun of people that need to use this, but I want to expand my knowledge so that I can help with tuning and adjusting things. I mean, there's some people that, come to our soccer practices or whatnot, and, they may want to tune up the chair just a little bit, but I won't touch anything with a head array on it. I still probably won't, just because my biggest fear is adjusting something that will make their chair not work for them in general. So it demystifies things a little bit, so I'm a little more comfortable with things. But anyways, there you go. It seems to work.